Love doesn't ask if your legs can walk. It only asks if your heart can. Kevin spent 13 long years believing life had clipped his wings forever. Doctors took his leg, pain stole his peace. And people around him slowly disappeared until Kim appeared like dawn after a storm. She didn't see a wheelchair, she saw the man sitting in it. And one day, to thank her for choosing him when he had nothing to offer. Kevin decided to do the impossible. Stand on his own feet again, literally, what happened on their wedding day. Turned tears into applause. Kevin Hayes once believed that a man's worth lived in the strength of his legs and the speed with which he could chase his dreams. As a teenager, he never stopped running football matches, bicycle races, climbing rocks, anything that pushed the world behind him. But life sometimes takes everything you think defines you and forces you to find something deeper. 13 years before the moment that changed everything, Kevin suffered an accident that shattered not only his bones but his certainty too. A fractured leg turned into an infection, and the infection turned into reflex sympathetic dystrophy. A condition so rare that even doctors whispered its name with helplessness. Pain burned through his body day and night. Like a wildfire, no medicine could tame Dot by the time he turned 30. Kevin had attended more hospital rooms than birthday parties. His leg had grown so damaged doctors eventually delivered the words he feared. "We cannot save it." The surgery took his leg. But something else vanished with it, the young man who believed he was unstoppable. He now lived in a wheelchair, and even though he smiled politely, a part of him convinced itself that his life was only half what it used to be. Then came Kim Didway, and she didn't ask him to stand. She simply knelt down to his height and talked to him like he was whole. They met on a Tuesday afternoon in a small community library. Kevin was returning a book he barely read. Painkillers made concentration impossible that month. Kim worked as a volunteer, glowing with the kind of energy that fills the air before thunder. Bright. Electric, impossible to ignore. "Let me guess," she said. Glancing at him with a grin, "You returned this without reading it?" He blinked. "How did you know?" "You looked guilty," she teased. "Books leave clues." He laughed, an unguarded, real laugh he hadn't heard from himself in years. That one conversation became two. And soon the library aisles became their secret meeting place. Kim never asked about the wheelchair. She asked about his favorite song, the first dream he remembered. The place he wanted to travel if airplanes could hold memories instead of people. Weeks turned into months, and Kevin found himself waking up excited instead of exhausted. Kim didn't walk around his brokenness. She stood with him in it and treated it like normal weather. One rainy evening, as thunder growled outside, Kevin finally confessed the truth he kept hidden like a wound. "You deserve someone who can walk beside you, not someone you have to push." Kim touched his hand gently. "Kevin, I don't love legs. I love hearts. And yours is stronger than most who stand." That night changed everything. Not because his pain ended, it didn't, but because he realized he wasn't alone. They fell in love quickly and deeply. Life didn't suddenly become easy, but it became meaningful. For the first time since losing his leg, Kevin saw a future, and Kim was in every corner of it when he proposed. He did it with trembling fingers and a voice full of awe. "Are you sure?" he whispered as he held out the ring. Kim laughed through tears. "I said yes the moment I met you." Planning the wedding became a celebration of hope, flowers blooming after winter. Everyone helped. Neighbors offered decorations, cousins provided music, and friends gathered stories of how love had saved them too. But Kevin had a secret, a dream so enormous it frightened him. Every night, after Kim fell asleep, he wheeled himself to a quiet space and practiced with the prosthetic he rarely used. The metal felt foreign on his skin. His balance collapsed again and again. His muscles screamed and old pain tore through him, but he kept going. Why? Because he wanted to stand beside Kim, even if only for a minute. He trained quietly for months. Physiotherapists pushed him, supported him, cheered silently because they knew what he was fighting for. Pain came like lightning, sudden, violent, unforgettable. But he pushed back harder. He imagined Kim's face every time he fell, and that imagination lifted him up again. Finally, the wedding day arrived. Kim glowed in her dress, walking down the aisle with the steady grace of someone walking toward home. Kevin waited at the altar, sitting tall in his wheelchair, his heart flickering like a candle pushed by wind. The music faded. The priest smiled. "Please rise," he said. Everyone stood except for one man, and then Kevin gripped the arms of his wheelchair, trembling and slowly, deliberately. Lifted himself, gasps fluttered through the hall like birds released from cages. Kim froze. The world held its breath. Kevin reached for the crutches he had hidden beside him, slid his foot forward, and stood. Kim's bouquet slipped from her hands. Tears rushed down her cheeks as her lips parted in disbelief. "You, Kevin, how?" she stammered. He shook his head, swallowing emotions so powerful his chest ached. "You gave me a reason," he said, "and I want to stand for you at least once in my life." Kim ran toward him, arms trembling, and the whole room dissolved into applause and tears. Their embrace became the center of the universe, to people holding each other like they had survived 10 storms and found sunlight waiting patiently. Kevin didn't stand long. His body shook too much. His muscles strained, but it didn't matter. He had done the impossible. He proved that love could lift a man who couldn't walk and teach him to fly without wings. They exchanged vows while holding each other upright, literally and emotionally. And when the ceremony ended, Kevin sat again, breathless but victorious. Later that night, Kim whispered into his shoulder, "You standing wasn't what moved me. You trying was." He smiled, eyes wet. "That's love, right?" "That," she answered, "is everything." And so their story unfolded not as a fairy tale without scars, but as a promise carved from pain, courage, and devotion. A man who lost his leg, a woman who loved his heart, and a wedding where love stood taller than fear. If this story touched your heart, imagine how many others need to hear it. Share Kevin and Kim's journey. Remind the world that real love isn't measured in footsteps, but in the courage to rise again when you fall. Tag a friend who believes love heals. Comment your favorite moment, the secret training, the first meeting, or the unforgettable stand at the altar. And if you know someone going through darkness, send them this video. Because sometimes hope arrives in the shape of a person who says, "I see you exactly as you are, and you are enough."